All right, perfect. So welcome everyone to the Google Meet and LMS integrations webinar, part of the Internet to Net Plus Google Workspace for Education webinar series. What we're really going to be diving into today, again, is just these agenda items. Going to keep it fairly short for introductions, since if you've been attending the other sessions, you probably know us all pretty well at this point. We'll do a brief overview of the Internet to Net Plus Google for Workspace for Education program overview. We also had a more in-depth session on that last week. We'll do an overview of what Google Meet is, and then what changes we've actually made, and then what kind of the roadmap and future looks like. A brief demo, and then if we have time, a Q&A session as well. So that's really what we plan on covering today. If you have any questions, we've actually left open the chat, so you can actually chat them in there. Or if you want to utilize the Q&A functionality as well, we can obviously log questions in there too. Yeah, but without further ado, I will introduce today's speakers. So again, I'm Leighton Spencer. I am a Google Workspace for Education specialist here at Google. I'm also joined by my technical counterpart, Ken Matthews, who is a Google Workspace Solutions Engineer who works specifically with higher ed in North America as well. And then Dana, I'll pass it over to you and you can introduce yourself.
Thank you, Leighton. I'm Dana Voss, Program Manager at Internet2, responsible for the Google Workspace for Education program. And I will take just a couple of minutes to walk you through the Net Plus program, which is available to our Internet2 higher education members as of June of this year. We kicked off the Net Plus service evaluation last year in May, and we took Google through our standard Net Plus evaluation process. The universities who participated in the evaluation completed a feature review of the suite of products, a security assessment, identity assessment, as well as an accessibility evaluation. That was done in August of last year. Then we issued a request for information to select resellers to be a part of our program. And in December of last year, we awarded the RFI to Amplified IT and Burwood. Currently, they are the only two resellers in the program. And then the legal conversations and the pricing negotiations took part in the first part of this year. And the agreement is now available to all Internet2 higher education members. Next slide, please. I would like to take a moment to thank the universities who helped with the service evaluation. As with any work we do here at Internet2, we work in collaboration with higher education to make sure that the needs of our universities are well represented in the contracts that are a part of the Net Plus program. I'll mention we have a very extensive frequently asked questions document which goes through the specifics about the pricing and storage limit. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to the Google team.
Great, yeah, Leighton, I can jump in here. So we're gonna do an overview of Meet. We're gonna start with the premium features. What do you get with Education Plus? What you get with Teaching and Learning. We're gonna jump into some of the admin console settings in a demo. I'm going to demo the actual Meet interface itself, and if time allows, because we want to allow for question and answer, I'll jump into Canvas, and we'll see how that integration works within Canvas with Google Meet. Next slide. So here are the premium features. We have larger meetings, up to 250 participants. We are also looking to improve the participant number in future iterations of the project. Of the product. Public live streaming, we announced this at the Anywhere School. We're looking at being able to release this. It's coming soon. We're looking at being able to release this Q2 of 2022, I believe. We do have in-domain live streaming and the ability to set up in trusted domains, and you'll see that within the demo. Live translated captions, this is available in beta right now. You will also see that in the demo in terms of how the settings look and how that integration will work. There are a number of options available from English to Spanish, Portuguese, German, and French that are available currently in the first iteration. We're looking at having recordings with these premium features as well as breakout rooms. We'll show a little bit of that in the demo. Attendance reports that's saved into the drive of the host or the meeting creator. You will be able to see for 5 participants or more, you'll be able to see who attended, how long they attended. That will be saved within Drive. Q&A polling, we'll go over that in the demo. Transcripts coming soon. So not only do we have meet recordings, but we can also transcribe everything that's said within the meeting into a document, who said it, when they said it, and it will be saved in Drive for the meeting creator. Noise cancellation is a feature that we currently have. It blocks out background noise so that you can have the meeting focus in on the presenter or any participants within the meeting. And then a feature coming soon would be the auto zoom, so it keeps that particular presenter or participant of the meeting center within the camera view. And then one that I'm particularly excited about is the ability to embed Google Meet directly in doc sheets and slides. So as you're collaborating with anybody else that you're working with, you can actually start a meeting and you can see a sidebar of all of the participants in that meeting and can continue to work directly in that particular collaboration document without having to jump out to a new URL. I'll also call out that there are a number of awesome features that are coming but are covered under our NDA. So please go to googlecloudcommunity.com, log in, and reach out to us if you need to get access to the roadmap. There is a separate form. We can send that to you. You can sign up for that form and you can get early access to the roadmap. And with that, I'm going to present my screen and we're going to jump into the demonstration. Let me just make sure that all of that is, I'm going to move my windows around as well. It looks like everybody can see what I'm showing, so that's good. And we're going to start out in the admin console. There are a number of features, particularly Meet safety settings that you want to set as an administrator based on OU, particular users in a particular OU, as well as some video meeting settings that you can set either by OU or by group. When we're talking about the Meet safety settings, these are only by OU. We're talking about host management on or off. For context, we're looking at 2 particular meetings that we see out in the wild. So you have a high trust meeting. So essentially, we're all adults in this meeting. All of the features that are available are open to everyone. You'd want to turn that off in a situation like this. So when you're looking at maybe your staff OU itself, you want to have that off, and then you want to have quick access turned on. What that essentially means when host meetings is set to off is everybody in the meeting can essentially admit or remove others. They can mute each other, they can record a call, they can control their own mic or camera, they can present to the call as well as chat into the call. All of those options are available to you. The other type of meeting that we're looking at is more of a teacher-student scenario. You probably see this more in K-12 than higher education, but there may be instances where you need to use this, and that would be a high control meeting, and essentially you would reverse these settings. So you'd want to turn quick access off, and you'd want to turn host control or host management moderation control on. And when we're talking about host control, the quick access turned off, essentially what that means is that the host must join the meeting first. Everybody who's on the invite would gain access to the meeting. They would not have to ask to join the meeting. Anybody else would have to ask to join the meeting. There are no anonymous joins. That is subject to the access settings that you specify within the administration console, but it is default for EDU Workspace for Education SKUs. And only the hosts themselves can dial out. So those are important aspects to consider when you're setting these by OU. Other things to consider here are the domain and access levels. So, you know, who can join meetings that are created by your organization? You can open up that up to the entire world, or you can drill it down to just individual users within your workspace domain. Same thing with access. You know, what meetings can my users join within my organization? You can open that up to the entire world, or you can drill that down to just meetings that are created within your organization. Some other settings to consider and questions that you may want to ask yourself as you're looking at these safety settings are under the Meet video settings. And you're able to actually set these up by group. The settings we just previously talked about, you weren't able to do that. But with these, you can actually drill down and get a little bit more granular and set those up by group. You'll also be able to search by user. You can't set this at the individual level, but you could search by user and see what those settings are for these individual users that you're concerned about as you're troubleshooting access issues. But some of the questions you want to ask yourself is, who can place video calls? You can turn that on or off depending on OU. Maybe you don't want your students to have access to placing video calls and just your teachers, you could choose to do that. The ability to record or stream. When we're looking at the streaming settings themselves, you can see that we have the functionality of being able to set up trusted domains. So there are other domains that you can set to trust with your Workspace domain, so you can open up that live streaming. But you can turn this on or off by group or OU as well. Other considerations, who can use dial-in access features in terms of telephony. You can set individual groups of VIP users to be able to use the paid functionality. It is a separate subscription that you would have to add within your Workspace instance. But maybe there are a certain subset of users that need this functionality. You could add the subscription and it would only be applied for those users. And this would be on a per call basis is how you would be charged. And then going down here, the final thing that you may want to consider is backgrounds. This is going to follow the host. So if you set this to allow custom images, allow backgrounds, and allow custom images, the host of that meeting, those particular settings will apply to all the participants in the meeting as well. So that's something important to call out when we're looking at this. You may not necessarily want to open up that up to all of your teachers, but you could open that up to a subset of few, maybe just solely for staff. And now we're going to jump into the actual UI itself. We're going to go over to meet.google.com. There are a number of items that I wanted to call out here. You can see that it integrates with your calendar. So I have a meeting coming up. I'm running 13 minutes late, but I have this meeting at 2 p.m. that I can join in a couple of minutes. I can start a new meeting. I can create an instant meeting. I can directly go into my calendar and schedule a meeting if I want to. The benefit of this is when you go into your calendar, you're actually able to set up all the live stream information, the meet information directly from the calendar, as well as dig into the host control settings. So you could turn quick access on or off prior to the meeting even starting. You can also set up your breakout rooms prior to the meeting even starting. Another thing to call out here is if you're an administrator of the account, you can dig directly into the quality tool itself. So I've opened up this window. I clicked on that. This is only open with people with the appropriate administrative privileges, but you have this filtered by meetings, by participants, by actual Meet devices if you have that in your environment. And you can also drill down in a particular meeting or particular participant. You could drill down and get even more information as you're troubleshooting issues around network issues, audio issues. User has particularly reached out to you and asked, hey, I'm having a difficult time. They've sent you screenshots. You can find all of that information here. Another feature to call out is if you find that this meeting is still long-lived and it's in your organization and people are dropping in and out of that meeting, quick access is turned on, and you want to end that meeting, you can actually drill into the Security Center investigation tool. And using this is a feature that we just released. Using the Meet log events, you can add conditions. If there were any abuse reports, for instance, that were registered by users, you can add that as a condition. Run a quick search, find the meeting that you're concerned about, click on that meeting, and that is going to open up a number of actions for you to take. And one of those actions is to end that meeting for all. Essentially, it'll kick out all the participants directly from the investigation tool. It'll end that meeting, and it'll turn quick access set to off so that only the host would be able to join that meeting going forward. Something important to call out. And when you're ready to join the meeting, you can actually jump into the meeting directly from this URL. We're going to jump into this meeting. We're going to see a number of options that you have available to you. If anybody's particularly in the meeting prior to you joining, you're going to see them listed here. You can check your audio and video directly from here. This is what we consider to be the green room. This is important for before you jump into the meeting. You can set capture and diagnose any information as it relates to this. You can actually see if there are any issues with your microphone being on or off. You can make adjustments to low light for low light mode. So if you are in a particular situation where the light is low and you want to make that set that setting on so that it adjusts the light so you can continue to be seen, you can do that prior to joining the meeting, as well as setting a noise cancellation default to on. I'm going to turn off my microphone so we don't get any reverb, and I'm going to join the meeting. We can see that Leighton is already joined, and look at that. Elizabeth, I gave it the link prior to this meeting. She was not on the calendar invite, so I can actually admit her. I'm going to get a prompt. Quick access was set off, and we're ready to go. The meeting is ready to go, and now we're going to start looking at all the various tools that you have within the meeting itself. Some things to call out: you can turn off your camera if you want. If you don't want to see yourself, you have the option to do that. Turn on captions, as well as raise a hand. When you raise a hand, you're going to go over here, and you're actually going to see within this section here, you're going to see a bunch of people that are raising their hand here, and it's all going to be in the order in which they've raised their hand. You can lower your hand here, or you can lower your hand directly from here. That way you can interact with your users without being unnecessarily disruptive within the meeting. Other options to present are down here, as well as even more options. You can start the recording here. You can start a whiteboard meeting, a jam. It'll open up into a separate jam. That jam will be shared in the chat window, and all of the participants of that meeting would gain immediate access to that jam to start collaboration. You can change your layout here to a tile. You can push those tiles out up to 49. You can do a spotlight, a sidebar. All of that options is available to you. You also have the ability to pin a certain people to have them be bigger in that view. We're going to have the option coming later to have multiple pins within a view, but right now you can pin a particular user if you wanted to focus in on the meeting for this particular view for yourself. More options that are available: you can change your background, switch cameras, turn captions on or off, use phone for audio. So if your video isn't necessarily working, you can click on this and have Meet call you once you've entered your phone number, or you can just access the dial-in information and call directly using that information with a simple couple of clicks. Some other features to call out: you can report any problems or abuse, which will be registered within the investigation tool and the Meet audit logs. You can go in and troubleshoot to get some information in terms of your connection and your CPU usage. If you're having issues with your call, all of this information is helpful. You can also take screenshots of this and send it on to the help desk so that they can continue to troubleshoot with you. And finally, we can go into the actual settings themselves, and this is where the meat of the settings are going to be: audio, video, all of the options that we had before in terms of changing your lighting, changing the noise cancellation to on or off, host controls. If you wanted to let your users send chat, I'm going to open that up right now. If you wanted to turn off screen sharing, you could do that. You could turn off host management, turn on quick access if you wanted to be less restrictive. All of those would be options. There you go. Leighton said hello because chat is now back on. And then, of course, you have the captions. And this you can turn on directly from here, as well as directly from the Meet window. But you could turn those captions on. And this is where translated captions is going to come in. We have the ability currently in this iteration of the tool to be able to translate English into any of the other languages that are available. Once you turn that on, you can choose what language you want: French, German, Portuguese, or Spanish. And those captions will show up for you within this particular meeting. And now I want to focus on this particular area over here in the lower right-hand corner. You have the information of the meeting. This is good if you want to copy that information to any of the participants who may not have been on the calendar invite. You can copy that, send it in an email. Who's in the meeting? We saw that this is where the hand raising would be shown. If you needed to mute everybody at once because you were the host and you have control, you could do that. You could add additional people. You also have a quick toggle for more options here in terms of sharing screen or chat messages. If you wanted to turn off chat, for instance, you could do that directly from here. You also have the chat functionality. All of this would be available right here. You can, again, turn that on or off if you decide to, directly from that window. And then you have a number of activities. So we have the breakout rooms. Those were previously set up prior. I believe I previously set them up prior. But you can go in and you can actually set up those breakout rooms as you're going on. As you can see here, they are already previously set up. I can name each individual breakout room that I wanted to. Elizabeth wasn't in this meeting prior on the calendar, so we're going to drag her into Breakout Room 2. So when we break out into that room, she'll be able to talk to both teacher and teacher 2 here. I can set a timer. I can add more rooms if I want, up to 100 rooms. I could shuffle all of the users if I wanted to into separate breakout rooms, and I can clear that functionality. When I'm ready, all that's set up, I can open up those rooms. Participants will be prompted to drop in. We are adding other features to breakout rooms, like we're going to be extending the moderation features into breakout rooms, as well as giving the ability to end those breakout rooms for the host at a clip in one stop. So all those features are coming in the future iterations of the product. Polls. I can start a poll directly from here. I'm going to ask a simple question. What is your favorite ice cream flavor? If I could type. And essentially offer up a few options here and save that and launch that. If I wanted to, I can choose to show that to everyone here if I wanted to launch that. And now that's going to be available to all of my participants. They can come in and vote if they see fit. I see I have 2 votes for chocolate. Sorry, vanilla, we're leaving you out in the cold. I would probably put in vanilla if it was for me. And then when you're done with this, you could choose to trash that or end that poll, and you're good to go. Other features too as well to call out would be the Q&A. I could start a question and answer here. The ability to sort by all of the various options here would be listed here. This is essentially opening up the Q&A to anybody who wants to use that feature or functionality. It's less disruptive than chat, so that's something that we're going to actually probably see here in a minute if there are any question and answers to answer at the end of this call. You could have sort by who voted the most popular. They can up those particular options here. I see that Leighton is asking, do you like vanilla ice cream twists? I'm sorry, Elizabeth is asking that, and why wasn't cookies and cream included? I agree with you, Leighton. I think I'm going to upvote that one as well. So all of this so you can directly interact in a productive way with your participants in the meeting. You'd be able to record, set up whiteboarding, all of that. If you had live stream, this would also show up here. You'd be able to set that up. And when you're done with the meeting, you're essentially going to end that meeting, leave the call, and you're going to have a number of options as the host. You're able to turn on or off quick access. So if you didn't want anybody to access this meeting after you left, if you just want to leave the call, let the existing participants continue on without you, you could do that, or you could just end the call all at once. And we're out of that call, and you're good to go into the next meeting for another day. And with that, I did want to mention out just one quick, I have a few more minutes. I want to leave some time for a question and answer. It's really simple to set up. Your administrator is essentially going to open up the LTI tool. It's the Google Hangouts Meet LTI tool. In this particular instance, we're looking at Canvas. Your administrator will set that up. That would then be available for your teachers or your students or anybody who's actually working with setting up these assignments and announcements. And when you're going into a particular assignment, you as a teacher, for instance, are going to see this particular option that's listed here. We have Drive integration as well as Google Meet Hangouts LTI. That's going to be an option that you can use. When you click on that, it's going to ask you to authenticate with your Google account. Obviously, you want to use the account that has the premium functionality. You would then grant access, and it would essentially, once you've granted access, it would pop in the Meet link here. When you're ready to save that information and publish that information out to your students, you could. They can click on this link, and everything that we just went through in terms of interacting with Meet, it's going to take you to that Meet link into another separate window, and you're good to go. Something to call out here, those Meet safety settings that we were talking about earlier in terms of quick access and host management. For any of your teachers who are using Canvas, you may want to make sure that host management is set to on, quick access is set to off for this particular scenario. So those are the defaults, since you can't necessarily set, at least for quick access, set that within Calendar directly itself. You also can integrate directly with announcements. You can set meeting links for announcements within Canvas itself. You can do that within the calendar itself as well. Here I have a calendar invite, and I see that the Meet link is here. All of those would surface the Meet link. And with that, I'm going to pause. I'm going to close all of this out. I'm going to hand it back over to Leighton for anything else that he wants to mention, as well as Q&A. And thank you for your time.
No, perfect. Thanks, Ken. Excellent. So yeah, so we have about 5 minutes or so left in the presentation today. So let me actually share my screen. And yeah, we're just in the Q&A portion now. So wanted to just see if there was any questions that people had. No one has kind of put anything in the chat or anything along those lines. But then if not, we actually can just kind of move on to the next page. Oh, no, I'm seeing some questions come in. So yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, hello. Thanks to Leighton and Ken. Thanks for the demonstration there. Quick question on the retention on the recordings. We have faculty that would be interested in retaining those recordings. How does that work?
That would be subject to Google Vault. So the recordings themselves are actually saved within the drive of the participant. And any Vault retention rules that are applied to Drive, that would essentially apply for those recordings. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. I see that Chris has a question here for higher ed. Google Meet just isn't quite there yet. We need larger participant numbers. Microsoft Teams allows 1,000 full functionality and 20,000 listen only. The reason why Zoom has a foothold in higher ed is that we need more participants and features. Our class sizes can be 500 students alone, so 250 is inadequate. Zoom offers a 300 participant baseline with additional options for 1,000, 3,000, and 10,000 participants. We have heard that. We are listening to that, and I would mention that sign up for the NDA roadmap and dig into that, and you're going to see that there's going to be a number of improvements in terms of the participant list. That in line with using live stream, the ability to live stream publicly, all of those options would increase the participant numbers for us to be on par of what you list here.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think there's a more general version of that question. You know, what you've shown here is nice. The fact of the matter on our campus, at least, is that Zoom is an entrenched tool. And as we go to our users and faculty with another offering, their fundamental question is, give me a compelling reason why I should go up another learning curve. So, you know, what in your mind are the top 2 to 4 significant, compelling, differentiating reasons why this product is something that our faculty should consider as opposed to using what they're used to with Zoom?
I think the number one, and I think Leighton and possibly other people on the call would have differing opinions on that. The number one reason that I see would be the deep integration within the editors themselves. It's not particularly a feature now, but if you have a lot of daily active users that are using all of the Google Meet products, or sorry, the Google products themselves, the ability to start meetings directly within editors, things like that, I think just that narrative of being collaborative is a huge plus in terms of how we integrate with the existing products. I think we're seeing a number of product features that are coming, particularly around the noise cancellation, around the safety settings, the ease of use within the product itself. We're not going to throw a lot of bells and whistles at you. We're only going to add the features at a clip that we need, and it's only going to improve as time goes on. These are all plus features for me. Obviously, that's subject to disagreement, but as I look at the product, that's how I think of it.
And when you say editors, you're referring specifically to the Google Apps interfaces,
Yes.
or are you referring to like the WYSIWYG editor in Canvas?
I'm referring specifically the ability to one of the premium features to embed directly within doc sheets and slides.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Michael Porter has a question.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I saw that there were certain options that were controlled only by OU and not by Google Group membership. Do you have any plans to move all controls into Google Group membership-based stuff?
I think I would push the question back onto you. Are there certain, because the only ones that are by OU currently are the safety settings. Are those particular settings that you would want to open up to group?
Virtually everything in my
Okay.
opinion needs to be group-based, because there are very certain specific things that are OU based that are endemic to the way Google does things, and we have to reserve OUs. If we don't reserve OUs for things that are just of absolute critical importance, we will get burnt, or we'll have hundreds and hundreds, or about 2 to the nth group OUs. And that's just not, OUs are just not a viable thing. I mean, they're across the board, but we're talking meat here, so.
I've not heard of any discussion around those particular safety setting features being opened up by groups, but that continues to be something that we always either discuss with you directly, with this particular audience directly. So we're always surfacing that out. I just generally tell the product team when I have conversations with them, anything that you can do by groups would make higher education much happier. So. Happy to push that up the flagpole for you as well, and you know, also through future conversations, give you updates on that.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, great points. And I think that, yeah, that's a great highlight there, Michael. And thank you, Ken, for kind of answering those. Yeah, so I know we're slightly over time here, everyone. So definitely want to be cognizant of people's calendars. Appreciate you all attending today. Thank you, Ken, for presenting and kind of showcasing that. Also in this slide deck, we have the frequently asked questions that I believe Dana actually shared in the chat earlier as well. So you can always access that. There is an I2 Net Plus specific Slack channel as well. So we'll be sure to share that out afterwards as well. And then we do have one more upcoming scheduled webinar that's going to be covering Google Workspace and Microsoft Interoperability. So we'd love to see all of you there if you all are, utilizing both, Office 365 and Google Workspace. And then still to be determined and to be scheduled, our Google Workspace for Education Storage Tools kind of run through. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to either your Google representative or the Net Plus team or Dana, who's on the call here as well. But again, we appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you all soon. But thanks again.
Thank you.